Hi, I'm Dr. Rick Duplantis, and welcome to my show, It's Your Health. The topic tonight is high fructose corn syrup. This is a very controversial issue, and I want to give you a few facts about this compound. You know, unlike glucose, fructose is readily converted to a fat by the liver, leading to an excessive concentration of fats and lipoproteins in the body. High and prolonged fructose ingestion increases an unfavorable lipid profiles in our body by increasing triglyceride levels, an independent risk factor of coronary heart disease. Fructose also promotes the potentially dangerous lipoprotein changes that increases the atherogenic risk. For example, fructose increases the ApoB100, which is the primary lipoprotein responsible for carrying cholesterol to the tissues, which will lead to the formation of fatty deposits. Conversely, high-density lipoproteins, we call the HDL, which are the good lipoproteins, it's responsible for carrying cholesterol particles back to the liver to be eliminated. This is decreased by high fructose corn syrup intake. So fructose ingestion, therefore, contributes to fat deposits in the liver, causing fatty liver condition, and also increases the amount of dangerous lipoproteins that enhance cholesterol deposits in blood vessel walls. This can lead to plaque buildup and narrowing of the blood vessels, a ticking time bomb for the development of both stroke and heart attack. The potential consequences of excess dietary fructose consumption causes, several things. Number one, it accelerates aging. It increases the chance of someone getting insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, can cause diabetic complications, and can cause retinopathy, which may lead to blindness in a diabetic person. Nephropathy, which is a kidney involvement, may lead to severe kidney disease requiring a chronic dialysis for the patient. Also, neuropathy may involve numbness, pain, impotence, speech impairment, loss of bladder control. Also, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Abnormally high blood uric acid levels, hyperuricemia, may result in the development of gout. Implicated in the development of diabetes and the metabolic syndrome, it also causes these problems. You also end up with high triglyceride levels, which is implicated in the development of atherosclerosis and cardiovascular disease. Another contributor, it causes non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Once a relatively rare clinical oddity, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is now estimated to affect 20 to 30% of adult populations in developed countries. Like obesity and diabetes, the rise in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease causes, many issues. It has paralleled the rise in consumption of dietary fructose. For example, a recent study by the scientists of the University of Florida at Gainesville, they determined that fructose consumption in patients with established non-alcoholic fatty liver disease was about 2 to 3-fold higher than among the normal controlled subjects. As the name suggests, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a constellation of conditions affecting the liver, which is characterized by an excessive accumulation of fat in the organ and unrelated to alcoholism. It is associated with higher rates of death from liver disease, such as cirrhosis and liver cancer and cardiovascular disease. It is intimately linked to insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, and often progresses to an inflammatory condition known as non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. The age connection here is that the adverse effects of excess dietary fructose are not limited to detrimental effects on blood sugar metabolism, lipid profiles, or lipid health. Excess fructose also encourages the formation of toxic advanced glycation end products. These are aberrant hybrid protein formed when sugars and lipids react with these molecules, altering their structure and damaging their functionality. As these glycation end products accumulate, they encourage inflammation and oxidative stress, which also accelerate aging. They have also been linked to accelerated aging, In many individuals, this advanced glycation end products are believed to play a key role in the development of hypertension, as well as complications associated with type 2 diabetes like neuropathy and retinopathy. Neuropathy affects the nerves and can cause tingling, a prickling sensation, numbness, and pain, while retinopathy damages the eye's retina and may lead to blindness. In terms of the reactions to lead to the development of these glycation end products, fructose is far more reactive than glucose. So even a small amount of fructose circulating in the bloodstream is potentially damaging. In the laboratory, it has been shown that the rate of fructose protein cross-linking is 10 times greater than the linkage rate associated with glucose. This suggests the excess dietary fructose is immediately linked to accelerated aging, as a type of protein cross-linking is a common manifestation in the aging process. These aging accelerated effects of dietary sugars were investigated in lab rats fed diets featuring sucrose, glucose, or fructose. 3 measures of aging include cross-linking of collagen, a protein that provides structure and support for the skin and other tissues. They were each significantly greater in the rats that were fed fructose than the rats that were consuming glucose or sucrose. This data suggests long-term fructose consumption includes adverse effects on aging, concluded researchers. Advanced glycation end products, they're also known to induce acute endothelial dysfunction. I'll talk about endothelial function or dysfunction as a cause of hypertension and many cardiovascular issues, and also prelude to stroke. Endothelial dysfunction is implicated in the development of atherosclerosis and thus cardiovascular disease as well. Scientists also believe that these age-associated glycation products or end products may contribute to the development of the progression of chronic heart failure by inducing vascular and myocardial stiffening. The excess intake of dietary fructose from sources such as high fructose corn syrup may contribute to a myriad of adverse health effects ranging from the metabolic syndrome to kidney stones, the complications of diabetes. In addition to limiting exposure to this dietary fructose, nutritional supplements offer an important protection against these harmful effects. They protect against this advanced glycation end product process. The fructose promotes this formation of advanced glycation end products, which are clearly linked to some of the worst side effects of diabetes. Advanced glycation end products are also linked to accelerated aging, even among the healthy individual. The highly bioavailable vitamin B1 analog has been shown to prevent some of the damage associated with the diabetes-related high blood sugar levels. Benifamine blocks 3 of the major molecular pathways which hyperglycemia damages cell. A recent study of patients with type 1 diabetes confirmed that benifamine combined with supplement alpha-lipoic acid completely normalized increased in glycation products formation associated with diabetic complications. Also, it was correcting the endothelial deficits and dysfunction, which is associated with the high blood glucose levels. This compound of the B complex vitamin shows promise against the adverse effects of type 2 diabetes. It acts as an antioxidant. According to the research published by the German scientists, this compound is a direct antioxidant action shown in the lab. The effect of this compound may be involved in an improvement in diabetic late complications, including peripheral neuropathy. Alpha-lipoic acid is recommended to prevent glycation and to reduce the accumulation of these glycation end products, as well as enhance glucose utilization. Alpha-lipoic acid may decrease the development and improve the symptoms of neuropathy in a diabetic patient. Alpha-lipoic acid offers a very powerful antioxidant effects, both in aqueous and lipid environments, but only lipid-soluble antioxidants readily enter cells, organelles to prevent damage from these free radicals. Alpha-lipoic acid is a mitochondrial metabolite. It is particularly effective at protecting these vulnerable cellular powerhouses from oxidative stress or oxidative damage. The mitochondria is the organelle in the cell of all the cells of the body that produce the energy, ATP. The dipeptide cornosine acts as an anti-glycating agent as well, and inhibits the glycation end product formation, as well as protein glycation, oxidation, and cross-linking associated with aging, its associated pathogenesis. You know, the animal studies suggest that cornosine suppresses the complications of diabetes. Late research suggests that cornosine may prevent diabetes-associated atherosclerosis. Another compound is pyridoxamine. There was a Harvard-based research study. This recently showed that pyridoxamine, an advanced formulation of vitamin B6, acts as a broad inhibitor of advanced glycation to benefit patients with diabetic neuropathy and diabetic nephropathy, kidney disease. You know, the fight of metabolic syndrome, excessive fructose intake is intimately linked with metabolic syndrome, and its components such as this elevated triglycerides, you see the high blood pressure, you see the increased cardiovascular risk, and these people usually in the metabolic syndrome have large abdominal girth. You know, supplementing regularly with omega-3 fatty acids, you know, and EPA and the DHA component, these omega-3 fatty acids found primary in fish oil, and salmon is a very rich source of the omega-3 compound, rich in EPA and DHA, which have been shown to decrease inflammation in the body, improve blood lipid profile. It also can reduce insulin resistance and improve cardiovascular health. You know, another thing about omega-3 fatty acids and that we consume in our fish, you know, you can get it in a capsule, but the omega-3 fatty acids, an anti-inflammatory agent, you know, lowers the lipid profile and lowers triglycerides as well. And it's a fairly inexpensive compound, but also good for the brain, good for the heart as well. Another compound, alpha-lipoic acid, ameliorates several components of the metabolic syndrome. Animal studies, including insulin resistance and atherogenic lipid profiles or high blood pressure. Acetyl-L-carnitine, another compound, in combination with this alpha-lipoic acid, is a mitochondrial antioxidant. It has been shown to improve blood pressure in patients with coronary artery disease. The reduced risk of elevated uric acid blood levels, high dietary intakes of fructose, particularly in the form of high fructose corn syrup, is associated with elevated blood levels of uric acid. This can cause gout. As we know, the supplementing with vitamin C, a recent study of more than 1,300 men showed that greater intake of vitamin C decreases the risk of abnormally high blood levels of uric acid, we call hyperuricemia. Hyperuricemia is strongly linked to the risk of developing gout. You know, intakes of 500 milligrams of vitamin C per day or more were associated with corresponding low levels of uric acid in the bloodstream in these studies. Uric acid elevation reduces gout and kidney stones. As a recent study in Canada, the researchers show that drinking high fructose sugar-sweetened beverages is associated with elevated blood levels of uric acid, known as hyperuricemia. This condition is linked to elevated risk of suffering from painful gout, joint diseases. You know, researchers drew their conclusion based on data gathered from nearly 15,000 adult Americans who participated in the third National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which was between 1988 and 1994. Serum uric acid levels increased with increasing sugar-sweetened soft drinks intake. Many of the scientists has recalled from this research. You know, telling me drinking diet soft drinks, which do not contain high fructose corn syrup was not associated with these elevated uric acid levels, however. Uric acid elevation, the gout, the kidney stones, the fructose-induced hyperuricemia might have a causal role in metabolic syndrome and hypertension and other chronic disease, noted by this Harvard-based scientific study in 2007. And researchers in Canada narrowed their focus on previous inquiries examining the relationship between soft drinks, fructose consumption, and the risk of gout in men. In this study, more than 46,000 men with no history of gout were followed for a dozen years. Writing in the influential British Medical Journal, they concluded prospective data suggests that the consumption of sugar-sweetened soft drinks and fructose is strongly associated with the increased risk of gout in men. In a recent study, the researchers at Harvard Medical School analyzed data gathered from literally hundreds of thousands of subjects, comparing fructose intake with the risk of developing kidney stones, while non-fructose carbohydrates were not associated with increased risk of kidney stones. The relative risk of kidney stones significantly increased for subjects with high intake of this dietary fructose compared with subjects who had a lowest intake of it. You know, it should be noted that sucrose, which is table sugar, acts as a source of dietary fructose as it comprises fructose and glucose, but the study suggests that fructose intake is independently associated with an increased risk of incidence of kidney stones. Researchers concluded this information is also new, and scientists have been trying to replicate it. The enormous sample size of the study and the prestige of the authors lends very good credibility to these results. Abnormally elevated levels of blood uric acid have been cited as one potential mechanism by which high fructose corn syrup precipitates the undesirable metabolic changes, leading to conditions such as the metabolic syndrome. It's likely that this fructose-driven increase in serum uric acid will play a role in increased risk of kidney stones. This ability of fructose to induce an increase in uric acid may be a major mechanism by which fructose can cause heart and kidney disease, cardiorenal disease we call it. In conclusion, high fructose corn syrup quietly and grimly entered the food supply decades ago. Now today, the high fructose corn syrup is ubiquitous in a wide variety of foods, including pasta sauces and salad dressing. High fructose corn syrup has been linked to an increased risk of a broad range of metabolic diseases and conditions. Fructose is preferentially stored in the liver as fat and is associated with abnormal spikes in blood levels of uric acid. The non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, high levels of fructose consumption are also associated with development of these glycation end products, in turn linked to accelerated aging. Some of the worst side effects associated with are the type 2 diabetes. Despite assurance of safety by the corn sweetener industry, prudent health-conscious consumers would do well to decrease their intake of sweeteners containing high fructose corn syrup. The nutritional content of high fructose corn syrup offers empty calories with no nutrition, no vitamins, no phytonutrients. Because sucrose is half fructose, intake of this sweetener should also be limited whenever possible. The best way to reduce your intake of high fructose corn syrup is to read the label of food products before you purchase them. One can slash their dietary intake of high fructose corn syrup by avoiding these foods that contain it, and other added sugars such as sucrose has been added. The Renaissance physician Paracelsus famously said, "The dose makes the poison," meaning that even harmless substances can become toxic if you eat or ingest enough of them. You may ask, is high fructose corn syrup really that bad for you? My answer to this question is yes, mainly for the above reasons that I had mentioned. high fructose corn syrup is in our food supply. You should read the labels of all food, especially processed foods that you purchase. I particularly try to stay away from processed foods because of all the various additives that affect our health in adverse ways. This high fructose corn syrup gives to products a longer shelf life because bacteria cannot destroy high fructose corn syrup or break it down. So, in the food chain where shipping something over long distances and inexpensively, high fructose corn syrup is an ideal compound to put in this food to allow a longer shelf life of the food products. So, your key to, good health in this respect is read the labels and make sure that your food does not contain high fructose corn syrup, or keep it very minimal at best. You want to be conscious of this compound, high fructose corn syrup. It leads to many issues, the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. These are serious problems, cardiovascular problems, atherogenesis, the formation of heart plaques in the arterial system, heart disease, and also in the cerebrovascular system. It can cause stroke as well. So let's be very health conscious, make the right decision when it comes to your diet and the foods you eat. I'm Dr. Rick Duplantis. I hope you've enjoyed this show on high fructose corn syrup tonight, and I hope you tune in to future episodes of various health issues that we cover here on my program, It's Your Health. In the near future, I'm going to put on a series called A Mini Medical School, which is a series to educate the public on the various organ systems of the body, the various conditions that one can have in these various systems of the body, and hope to lend itself to giving you just a glimpse of the world of medicine, using some of the terminologies, but we'll break them down and put them in a very simplified form that you can understand them. Albert Einstein said, if you can't break down a complex, issue or a complex subject matter, if you can't break down this complex subject matter, then you don't know it well enough. So we're going to break this down for you. We're going to break down these very complex disease processes in the human body that occur in the various organ systems so that you can understand them. Remember, if you don't get what you need from your doctor, you can always change doctors. That's an option you as the patient always has. I'm Dr. Rick Duplantis. I hope you have a very pleasant good evening. God bless you.